I'm Spencer.
I'm Lara, and we're Married with Board Games. Question: what can be better than drinking beer at a fine pub while enjoying the scenic mountain views?
How about playing a game that emulates drinking beer at a fine pub and enjoying the scenic mountain views, all the while drinking beer at a fine pub and enjoying the scenic mountain views?
So let me clear this up for everybody. Spencer wants to play a little game called Bavarian Holiday while drinking beer at a fine pub and enjoying the scenic mountain views.
But Bavarian Holiday is a dice game. Can it possibly convey the idea of drinking beer at a fine pub and enjoying the scenic?
We get it. Let's just take a look at the game. Bavarian Holiday is a dice rolling press your luck game for 2 to 5 players from Stratamax Games. In the game, different colored dice represent different types of beer. Players will choose how many of which color of dice to roll on their turn.
The point of the game is to roll certain numbers on the dice that correspond to a score sheet. If you run out of spaces to cross off on your sheet, you spill your beer. Don't worry, there's always pretzels to be had.
And if you have the good sense to quit before spilling too many beers and eating too many pretzels, you'll leave the pub, buy flowers, and go home, earning you extra points. The player with the most points at the end of the game wins.
So, let's head over to the fine pub and take a look at some of those scenic mountain views.
Stop! This is everything you can expect in your copy of Bavarian Holiday. You have your dice to represent each of the beers. For some reason though, I guess just because a Weiss beer is supposed to be lighter than the others, they're smaller. We honestly don't know why. But they also have a corresponding token for each, because once a player has had every one of the beers crossed off on their list, they will tap out that beer, and that means nobody else can get that beer for the rest of the game. We also have our nice little tokens for our really big beer that you see here on the score pad, and those are one at a time, so a player could end up with both, or a player or 2 players could get one each. And those are worth an additional 7 points to your score at the end of the game. Also, here's our flower token for the one player who decides to cut their losses and go buy some flowers on their way home from the pub to say, sorry wife for being late coming home. They'll also get an extra 5 points, but that's only for one player who is savvy enough to see when it's time to fold. Here on your scorecard, there's everything that you need for the play of the game. You at least can get a few plays out of this. Our only question is what happens when you run out of sheets. I guess before you run out of the last one, you should run to the copy machine and make some copies of your sheets. But that is all of those things needed for play, as well as your rule book, which very nicely lays out everything that you need to know for the game, and I think it was very clear. So we're happy with that, and we think they did a nice job with that. That's everything for Bavarian Holiday.
Let's start where we always like to start, with artwork.
Artwork.
Now, this game doesn't have a whole lot of artwork because it's mostly dice. And
right, yeah, there's no cards or anything.
Right.
It's your score pad and your rule book.
But I do like the artwork on the
The
box.
stein is not included.
That's true. This is for decoration only. I do like the artwork on the box. Do you?
I do. I like, especially, I was just remarking how you age range recommendation starts at 10. So I'm just glad that it's not a huge busty gal on the front.
Yeah.
Just a regular little old
Bar maiden.
Yeah.
But that being said, we like the artwork so much, we wish there were other ways for it to be incorporated in the game.
I know.
I don't know where else it would be, but it's on the rule book. But unless there was a player aid card or something like that.
Maybe a player aid, or if instead of, I don't know. Maybe if the flowers had their own card.
Maybe.
Since there's only one, or any of these tokens for any of the beers, the really big beers or the flowers, if they were a card instead.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
We just like to see more of it.
I just like the artwork, but at the same time, having the wooden tokens, they can fit on your card.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell.
Right. And then so we'll move on to components.
Okay.
You've got, well, the main sticking point for us on this one is the score pad. As you saw in the talk through, it's just basically sheets of paper stapled together.
And glossy sheets of paper at that.
Yeah, so it was hard to write on.
Right,
and then
they give you one little pencil in there, and I ended up busting out some pens for us.
And then when you rip them off, you're ripping holes in your paper and leaving hanging Chad on the score pad, so that's no fun.
I know that gives some Floridians a nightmare. But thankfully, I must commend them that the sheets are double-sided.
Yeah, that is cool.
So that you're not just wasting a whole sheet in one game.
The other problem is with the score sheets is that they're not in color. And color is kind of an important thing in this game. Exactly,
with the dice and the tokens corresponding to which type of beer you're drinking, whether it's the alt or the pilsner or the Weiss, you don't know. We just decided which one was which.
It's written on the score pad to show which is which. It'd just be nice to, like, if each beer was color coded on the score pad as well. That'd just be a little bit more help than reading, because not everybody likes to read. We just like to look at pretty colors.
Especially when you're drinking beer.
In a fine pub?
No.
While enjoying the mountain?
Stop.
So that's enough on the score pad. Let's get to the dice. The dice are just standard dice, although we don't understand why two of the dice are big and the white dice are small. I don't know, but that was a little weird.
But it was an interesting choice on the score pad. With each beer you get a smaller and a smaller amount, but they still are D6s.
Yeah.
So that
that's a little more challenging.
You may be rolling a number that you don't even have a beer for.
Yeah, so for the Weiss, if you roll a 6, you're automatically going to spill a beer because there's not a slot for it on the score sheet.
You would have to be rolling 2 other dice with it in order to not, or in order to counteract that.
Yeah, so a lot of interesting choices. We'll get to that here in a second. As far as the tokens, I like the tokens. I like the little flower token. I like the really big beer tokens. Those are fun. And
although you could even go a little more specialized with that, but I know that this helps keep the costs down of the game.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be fun to see what people could come up with that was a little more creative and a little more personalized to your game. I bet we could do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, definitely. So that's enough about the components. There's not a whole lot to this game.
Right.
Let's talk gameplay. Overall, what are your thoughts? Just an overall thought on the game.
I liked it. It was nice and light. Just when you think about the atmosphere of everybody sitting around drinking their beer, somebody accidentally spills one. It's a light, fun atmosphere.
Well, yeah, it's a good atmosphere. It's a fun press your luck game. There are other press your luck games. They're just like, you really only have one option. Do I keep going this direction or do I stop? But there are several different ways.
You to detour off.
Yeah, there are several ways you could bust in this game. Whether you're trying to roll for the pretzel, or you're trying to get the beer that you want, or
if you're trying to get the really big beer, and if you fail that roll, then you automatically spill a beer.
So I like that there are lots of different ways that you can bust. So which way do you want to press your luck? I like those decisions in the game. And you hinted at this when you're talking about the atmosphere. I think the game's very thematic.
Yes, it is. It certainly is. I think we all laughed at the table when you were telling us how to play the game, and then and it talks about the possibility of buying the flowers to go home.
You were feeling respectable.
Like, sorry, wife.
Yes.
I brought you flowers because that makes everything better.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't. But you think about you're in a pub or whatever. You're spilling beer if you drink too much. You can
and they'll cut you off if you drink. If you spill too many, they go, all right, you've had too much to drink.
So then you go on to the pretzels.
Yeah.
Or, the beer can be tapped out. If one person fills up all their slots on a certain kind of beer, you can't roll that anymore.
So nobody else can have any.
So there's no more beer in the pub. Eating too many pretzels, you get full and you can't do anything else.
Yeah,
And the flowers. So it's very thematic, and I think it's fun.
Like
it's charming.
Yes.
So it is a light dice game, but with those added elements, I think I personally would rather play something like this over like zombie dice.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like I said, I prefer this atmosphere and that there are different avenues to go instead of just this one particular goal in mind. Mm-hmm. So I think for both of us, the bottom line on this is for a light pressure luck dice game, Bavarian Holiday provides a truly fun experience, but suffers from some component quality. We don't own many small dice games mainly because they all tend to feel the same. They just don't offer much variety other than pasted on themes.
Bavarian Holiday, however, does just enough to make us want to keep it in our collection. It's silly, it's quick, and very thematic.
Though the score pad is a little bit of a letdown, we are willing to overlook it and award Bavarian Holiday a Dice Tower seal of approval.
And we're going to box this one up for now. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at MarriedWithBG, where I promise to post lots of pictures of me drinking beer at a fine pub and enjoying the scenic mountain views.
Enough!
Auf Wiedersehen!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.